I haven't been playing much this month, but I thought I should upload at least one more video before the next expansion comes out. I did have a Modibus video planned, but I didn't get around to doing it, so maybe I'll do a next expansion since it does seem to be gaining more support. About this deck though. Loot Sword is a deck that focuses around loot cards like its name suggests. The main payoffs of the deck are Octris and Sinciro. When Octris is played, you gain a crest with countdown 8, which goes down whenever you play or fuse a loot card. When the countdown reaches 0, you add a Remnant of Hollowness into your hand, which will do 4 damage to the enemy leader if the board is empty. Sinciro has Fusion, which synergizes with the Octris crest, and he does damage to all enemies based on the number of different loot cards you've fused. When you Super Evolve, you will do it again. Since there are 4 different loot cards, you can do 8 damage to all enemies, and after that your opponent's board is most likely empty, so you can play the Octris spell for a total of 12 in one turn. All the cards you see with Usurpation in their names will generate the necessary loot for you, like Devotee, which gives you boots and a goblet, or the Lair, which gives you a choice of the loot you want to put into your hand. We also run some additional finishers just in case, like Odin, who banishes a card and goes face for 4, or Albert, who on Enhanced 9 can deal 12 storm damage with a Super Evolve. The list I'm running has one tablet, which banishes all duplicates from your deck, so it thins it, and you can draw into your important cards more quickly, since it also gives you a free draw every turn. I also have one Amelia for even more chances to draw my important cards, and the Ravening Tentacles are helpful to close out the game in case your opponent puts out a big board of wards. With all that said, enjoy the games. For our first game today, we're playing a Sword Mirror. We have Sinciro in our opening hand, which is very good, and also a 2-drop. We're just missing Octris to make this hand perfect. Now, since we're going first, our opponent will be able to play Zirconia on turn 4, and our only good way to clear that is by keeping Congregant. So I keep him here. And we do in fact find Octris. No Quick Blader, so we'll just pass. Opponent finds his Quick Blader. Now luckily we find Luminous Lance Trooper, because playing Devotee of Usurpation would allow him to trade his Quick Blader into it. Now it's an Octris turn. Next turn we have 2 2-drops to play. Now the second Lance Trooper is very good because it allows us to trade into the 2-1. Now if he plays Zirconia, he can't even full crit his board. Okay, so he plays his Congregant. And he has his Sinciro, so our board gets cleared. We'll just use a Returning Slash here, since we would like to save our Congregant on something better. He spends the second Returning Slash to draw some more cards, fuse to make the countdown go down, then I pass. I'd like to save the second Octris for when the first Octris spell expires. So our first Octris crest has expired, and now we can play the second one later. This is a nice turn to just play our Octris. And then we can clear the board. Now with this amount of loot in our hand, we should be able to just fuse, and we'll get our second spell in no time. This is the board he has to deal with. Odin will not be enough. He chooses to play a Congregant. And he does not have another fuse, so he has to spend an evolution. My opponent leaves 2 things on the board, and now I have to decide how to deal with this. My Sinciro has 3 loot fused at this point. I only need to fuse a necklace for the full 4, and then I can super evolve and do 8 damage. That will leave him at 12. Now if I also play the Devotee of Usurpation, that will get my second Sinciro up to 3 loots. If I fuse smartly, I should be able to reduce the crest down to 0 by next turn. And with my second Sinciro plus 2 Remnants of Hollowness, that will be 6 plus 4 plus 4, which is 14 damage. Now Sword doesn't have that much healing, so I think this is a good line to go with. And if I top deck Albert, that's another way to do 12 damage. So I fuse the necklace. Play the Devotee. And now that's 8 damage. Next turn, threatening 14. So he would have to heal twice from this, while also clearing my board. He does not do that, so he's just dead. I fuse the goblet. I heal a bit. That's my second remnant of hollowness. Do 3. With the super evolve, that's 6. And then he concedes before I can do the other 8. And with the super evolve, I actually had 15 damage that turn. That's all for this game. On to the next one. We're up against Haven, so we have to be aggressive early to have a chance of winning. We have Quick Blader, which is great, and also a 2-cost loot generator, as well as Sinciro in our opening hand. We're just missing Octress for the perfect hand. We throw away Odin and pick up Lance Trooper, which isn't terrible. Now obviously we just go Quick Blader on one. Opponent doesn't play anything, so we'll be able to hit again. Octress pickup is great. We'll play that next turn. Okay, so my opponent actually plays Supplicant of Repose. So now the obvious move would be to play Octress on 3. But like I said earlier, to win this matchup, we really want to do early damage. So I decide to instead break his ward and go face with my 2-1. So my entire board lives, and that gives me a free turn to play Octress and go face for 4 more. Does he have Blinding Faith? No, he's running Divine Thunder. It's turn 5 and I don't really have a good play. The only thing that looks viable is to evolve Zirconia. Instead, I decide to draw with my Returning Slash. I don't see anything useful, so I end up playing Zirconia anyway. Now this is an easy clear with Blinding Faith. He decides to play Congregant of Repose. I just decide to draw again and do some damage. Luckily pick up a second Returning Slash so I don't have to trade my 2-2. And then I just put 2 followers on the board. Now if we look at our hand, we have 3 different loot types. Devotee will put a guild goblin to our hand to give us the 4th loot type. So if we fuse all 4 into Sinciro, we'll be able to do 8 damage with our super evolve next turn. And with Octrus' spell, we can do 4 more damage for a total of 12. So I decided to evolve the knight here to put him down to 11. And now if he doesn't heal, he's dead next turn, since I have 12 damage. Marwyn comes down, that doesn't look like a heal. Banishes our goblet, which is a bit annoying. But he leaves 1 damage on the board, so this will be exact lethal. Since our Sinciro only does 6 now, but 6 plus 4 from the Remnant of the Followist is still 10. So that's the end of this game. The final game I want to show today was a game I played against Rune during the Grand Prix. I see Octrus and Tablet in my opening hand, which are both very good. I also have a 2-drop, so I keep that, and toss Albert to try to find something better. Amelia is not better. I draw another Lance Trooper. I just pass. My idea is to play Octrus next turn into Tablet. Rune doesn't pressure much, so I should be able to get away with it. I play Octrus. I also picked up Sinciro, which is very good. Okay, so he just plays Storm Reblast, weak turn from him. And that gives me a free turn to play Tablet. And now we have 1 extra card draw every turn. So my opponent plays Edelweiss into an empty board. So it's turn 4 and I actually don't have a very good way to clear this Edelweiss. I draw, it doesn't really help, so I end up spending an evolve here on my Luminous Lance Trooper. I don't really want to clear with Congregant, I want to save it in case my opponent drops Annangrea next turn. And indeed, he does drop Annangrea, and he evolves. Without saving Congregant, this board would be very difficult to clear. I draw, and then play Congregant. Returning Slash chips Annangrea so that I can trade into it to finish it off. I pick up Vals and decide to just clear my opponent's Annangrea with it. And then I draw and then fuse to avoid overdrawing. A lot of runes these days don't actually run ambush removal, so he's probably pretty safe. And indeed, he just plays Burgent onto an empty board. At this point I have a 3-fused Sinciro and a Remnant in hand, so that's 10 damage with a Super Evolve, plus 4 from Vals, which leaves him on 6. The alternative play would be to play Odin, Super Evolve him for 7, leaving him on 9, and then play Sinciro next turn. I decide to play Sinciro first, since he's a bigger body, and if my opponent decides to play Odin, he'll need both Odin and the Onion Patch to clear, and hopefully that will let my Vals live. He doesn't have Norman, it seems. He just plays Gilnelise to heal. and then Stormy Blast to finish him off. And I top deck Albert, so that's an easy 12 damage to end the game. That's the end of this video, and I hope to see you next expansion for more videos.